Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday Sports on the Sports History Network. Today, I am joined once again by my friend and fellow sports historian, Dave DePaolo. And today, we're going to be discussing the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I guess more specifically, we're going to talk about why some of the it seems like the modern day players are getting in very quickly and without hardly any waiting, while the guys from many years ago had to wait a long time to get in. And I believe that's probably mostly because of media coverage, how much media coverage there is. Probably in the past 30 years, maybe even more than that, there has been, 24-hour sports coverage, and we just didn't have that years ago. So I'll let you go first, Dave, whatever you wanted to talk about first.
Well, Mark, it was a good week to do it. I mentioned to you when we talked over the, computer and about how the world was in a complete disarray with this Belichick. It was the talk of the week easily. Nothing even close.
Right.
And I had left the message up on the one of the videos I was watching, saying that there's guys that have been involved with the Hall of Fame voting who were older players who were sick. They were not well at the end. They didn't even know really what was going on. Mick Tingelhoff was one of them, which was that's a heartbreaking video if you watch that. Mick Tingelhoff.
Yeah.
He goes into the Hall of Fame, and Fran Tarkington is in tears. He's presenting him, and he doesn't want to speak. He asks him, "Would you like to say?" No, no, no. And I'm thinking to myself, and Chuck Howley recently, we were there. His brother had to accept for it, right? And he's still alive, Chuck Howley, but he's not there. And so, I said that it's the crime of the century. It's exactly how I worded it, but this has been going on for long. But because it was Belichick, I had one kid, one kid lecturing me, telling me, he's the greatest, he's this, he's that, he's the greatest, he's got the second most win. I'm well aware. I said, I don't need to be preached to. I'm 66 years old. I said, The bottom line is first of all, he's not the greatest coach, okay? I'll argue that with anybody. And I said there'll be nobody bigger to the Hall of Fame and to professional than George Halas. He's the guy that created it. He's the guy coached for 40 years, okay? And, and secondly, he's not even really an innovator, okay? Belichick. And then now the third thing, too, is before and after Brady, he never did a thing. I hate to say, I don't want to get down to too much about him, but I was thinking of all these things when I was writing, and I'm not saying he's not great. He's one of the greatest of all time. But I wouldn't say the greatest of all time. But, you take a guy like Landry, he was inventing concepts that are still used today. They don't understand that part of coach. It's not just about wins, okay? It's not just about wins. He's the greatest winner of all time, okay? No doubt about that. But there's way more. Same thing with players. But if you get down to the voting, I looked into it. So they narrow it down every year to 15 what they call modern players, where after you retire, you're eligible for after 5 years. And once you get to your 25th year of eligibility, you now become a senior member. So you go into a different category. So you have 15 players, and then they group a set of 5, which are 3 seniors, a coach, and an owner. That's what it happened to be this year. Okay? And the 3 senior players were L.C. Greenwood, and they were Roger Craig and Kenny Anderson, lumped in with the Kraft, the owner for the Patriots, and Belichick, the coach. So you got to get 80% of those 50 votes. So you need 40%. You need 40% of the guys. I mean, you need 40 guys out of the 50. I'm sorry. Evidently, the word leaked out. It wasn't Wasn't even supposed to leak out. Wasn't supposed to leak out. And it did. And then it became all this stuff. And then Kraft didn't get in. You notice that leaked out. He's not getting in now, they say. And now the big thing is, are they going to do this to Brady when he's eligible? Are they going to do it? You know, and so I hate to say it. I don't know how you fix it, but when you got guys voting and they're going to hold a grudge against somebody, okay?
Yeah.
Then anything's possible, you know? And they kept Terrell Owens. Look, I wasn't a big fan of Terrell Owens, but he was one of the greatest receivers that ever played.
Right.
And they kept him out for 2 years. He didn't get in. And then when he did get in, he didn't even go to his own ceremonies. It could show you how wacky he is. But, I mean, he just had a video. I did not watch it yet. But he's on there now. He just came on 2 days ago or yesterday talking about that the process needs to be changed. I should have watched that video before we did this show. But I'd love to hear what he has to say about that.
Right.
You know?
Well, when you have guys on the committee that are, you know, making it personal, it's not supposed to be that way. Whether you like a guy or you don't like a guy has nothing to do with the voting. I mean, if the guy deserves it, he deserves it. It doesn't matter if you have a grudge against him or your personal feelings for him. That's not supposed to come into play. But unfortunately, it does.
Yeah,
and
listen,
it happens
Mark.
With the.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it happens with the Baseball Hall of Fame too.
That's right.
Same thing happens. There's a guy for the Red Sox, Rice. What was his first name?
Jim
Boston
Rice.
Red Sox. Jim Rice.
That's right.
I don't know if he ever got in or not, but he was a guy that did not get along with the media. He didn't like doing interviews. He wouldn't talk to the media, and they held it against him, even though he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, listen, on that note, Mark, I looked up who are these people that make the decisions for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Right.
And I love, by the way, how Goodell tries to distance himself from it and say, this is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This isn't the NFL. This has got nothing to do with the NFL. Oh, okay. The guys just happen to play in the NFL, but it's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, most of these guys are media. So there's one media representative per city, except for New York and LA. They get two because they've got two teams. So there's 32 and then two. So there's 34 media guys. And then the rest of them are what they call at-large guys who they don't represent a specific city, but they work in football. Okay, like Lisa Salters. She's on the sidelines on Monday Night Football. She has a vote. There's another woman that you've seen her probably in clips, Charlene Williams. She's based down in Dallas. She went to bat for Chuck Howley. She also is a voter. But some of the more notable people that you would probably know these names, Vic Carucci. These are all guys that he's represented Buffalo. Rick Goslin, he represents the Cowboys. John McNair out of Houston. John McNair. You see a lot of these guys on the NFL films or like the 10 greatest this, and they have all these lists. Those guys talk on there, a lot of these guys. So these Howard Balzer, he's another guy that he's been with. Gary Myers, he's been around for years. Yeah. He's on the list. Hey, Rich Cimini, who covers the Jets. He used to be on, I think he still is on The Fan. He's on there. Jarrett Bell, who writes for the USA Today. So these are the guys that are voting, the men and women who are voting. So people have an idea of who, they go, who's going to, now they demand that people are mad because of Belichick. They want to know who voted against him. That's the new thing now. We want to know. You should be able, you have to make your vote, right? That's what they're saying. You have to make your vote. We need transparency. That's a political word. Now they're putting in here. Transparency. That's what they want.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Revealing, I don't know. Then the guy's liable to get hate mail and people following him. People are crazy now. If you find out who didn't vote for
Mark
Belichick.
froze up.
Now that guy's name is froze up.
Yeah, you're good now, though, Mark. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good. You froze up for a minute. But you were saying it wasn't a good idea.
I'm
Or you
not
didn't.
sure that's a good idea that we should know who voted for who, because there's a lot of crazy people out there that they might they might if they find out, oh, this guy didn't vote for Belichick, and then you know he might wind up knocking on Belichick's door.
And, and
There's,
And by the way, Mark, it's not just these guys. It's also players. There are guys that played or were involved in football. I didn't even really know that. That there's four players or coaches that you would know. Dan Fouts is on this committee. Bill Polian, he was a general manager on. James Lofton and Tony Dungy. Those are four guys that are also on this list. I wasn't aware of that.
so three former players, and
Yes.
I don't ever remember that before. I don't ever remember any former players being on the committee.
Yeah, well,
That
that's
must be
this. I think Mark, probably because they're involved now and other, like Dan Fouts still does stuff with the
right.
NFL. James Lofton is still doing radio. He does radio broadcasts of the NFL, and Tony Dungy, obviously, he's on Sunday Night Football. So they are in other areas, but they actually, those three guys were, former players. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't even know
Okay.
that Tony Dungy was a player. Like a lot of people thinks he was just a coach, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, he wasn't a big star. Uh, Played for the Steelers, I think, for the majority of his career, maybe all of his career. So I'm sure he got overlooked with all the big names on that team.
Yeah. Yeah. So you wanted to talk, Mark, about some of the players who took a long time to get in, which was my point to that guy that I left the message for. The guy's
Right.
talking about this and that. Look, what about these other guys? But go ahead with that, Mark.
Well, I also remember them. Maybe not quite as bad as what's happening with Belichick, but I remember Michael Strahan did not get in his first year of eligibility, and people were going crazy, like it was the crime
Yes.
of the century. Like it's not that big. It's not life or death here. I think
No.
sometimes we make it a little too important. He eventually got in. He had to wait his turn, like everybody else. Not everyone's going to get in immediately. So yeah, I did a little research, and we got guys on here. We got guys on here. I'll start with Night Train Lane, cornerback. He became eligible. This guy's on the 75th anniversary team and the 100th anniversary team. He made
Yeah.
both of those teams, 75th and 100th anniversary team. That means he's one of the greatest players to ever play. Okay? He didn't get in right away. He was eligible in 1971. He didn't get in until 1974. Next, we have Roosevelt Brown, tackle. Same thing. 75th anniversary team, 100th anniversary team. He made both of these teams eligible in 1971. He had to wait 4 years. Didn't get in until 1975. I mean,
No.
next. Anytime you want to chime in, Dave. I don't mind. You can interrupt.
Yeah.
Next guy I have here is Jim Taylor, the fullback for the Packers during their great dynasty. This guy, he was the only guy in Jim Brown played for 9 years. He led the league in rushing 8 of those 9 years. The only guy to beat him out for the rushing title in 1962 was Jim Taylor. Jim Taylor, 1962 NFL MVP, 1961 and 1962. He had a 5.4 average. rushing average. 1964, he had a 5.0 rushing average. I mean, you just don't. That's not common. That's not common to
Unbelievable.
have. Yeah, he didn't get in right away. Became eligible in 1973. He didn't get inducted till 1976. So, I mean, I'll go on, but
What
to your
happens,
point,
Mark, is this is what's going on. Because of the media, you mentioned the media before. I don't know if we were on or off talking about it, but because of the media, okay, this is the new thing now. It's become chic. It's become, it's like a whole nother thing being a first ballot Hall of Famer. You know, they made a joke. I think it was, I forgot if it was Steve Young or somebody was getting interviewed this week, which, by the way, is still one of my favorite weeks for football because they have great interviews with guys. Remember years ago, they used to bring guests up on WFAN? That was my favorite week of the whole year. And they had some great, they'd be down on Radio Row in the Super Bowl. Chris Russo, in fact, was a guest this week on with not Rich Eisen, but the other guy who was on ESPN for years, Dan Patrick. And Chris Russo came on, Mad Dog Russo, and was talking about his first year on Radio Row was the Cowboys against the Bills, the first Super Bowl they played in 92. He goes, they put us, at first they had us in the lobby of the hotel. Then they set aside a different section of the hotel, like a conference room, and all the radio guys were going in there. And so that's the change, but that's now 30-something years ago, so it's gotten bigger. But Steve Young, I think, said, he goes, you know, they have a different color. He was kidding. He goes, they have a different gold jacket for the guys that are first ballot Hall of Famers. But he was just making a joke, meaning it's gotten to that point where, you know, guys want to be a first ballot. You know, years ago, a guy was flattered if he just got into the Hall of Fame. Now they want to be first ballot Hall of Famers, okay?
Yeah. Getting in's not good enough anymore. Yeah,
no,
it's not good enough.
No, it's, you know, and it's a very subjective process. I looked at it with Eli Manning this week. I saw guys talking about Eli Manning, and they were all sports guys, you know. There was a panel of guys, and they were saying, you know, his very pedestrian statistics, interception to ratio, touchdown ratio, not too good. This, that, and the other thing, you know, his regular record, his season record, not too good. And then, you know, one guy says, well, listen, he had 2 runs at the Super Bowl, and he was 8-0 in all of those games, okay?
Yeah.
7 of those 8 games were on the road. 7 out of 8. A brutal game against the 49ers and a brutal game against the Packers up there in Green Bay, okay?
Right.
So in those 2 years, 7 of his 8 playoff games were on the road. He won all of them. And then he beat supposed GOAT, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. Another thing I'd like to debate. He beat him twice, 2 times. One year, right, undefeated almost. And the second time, and the greatest coach of all time, according to everybody today. He beat them both, okay, twice. So one guy was saying, you know, and he didn't beat him with these star players at receiver. 2 of the greatest catches, David Tyree and Mario Manningham on the sideline, okay, in those 2 games. Right. So that's what the other guys was bringing up. And I'm thinking to myself, see, that's how polarizing it could be in a way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone has their own opinion, and they're going to bring up all kinds of different aspects of the guy's game. Like you said, they're going to look at touchdown to interception ratio and all that. And these guys, I mean, you know, people criticize the committee members, but I can't even imagine what a tough job that must be. You're presented with, what do they start with? I don't know. 60. They're handed a list of something like 60 players.
Yes, exactly.
And that's not easy. You have to eliminate guys that were great players.
Yeah,
You can't put 60 guys.
They chisel it down too. It goes from 60 to some, and it finally gets to 15.
Right.
And then besides the 15, you have the other little group of 5 that I just spoke about a little bit ago.
Right.
But go ahead, Mark. I want to hear the rest of these guys that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That were not first ballot Hall of Famers. That waited to get in.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we got defensive end Doug Atkins, 100th anniversary team. He's on it. That means he's one of the 100 greatest players to ever play in the NFL. He became eligible in 1975. He had to wait 7 years. 1982, he finally got inducted. Linebacker Bobby Bell.
Great.
Another guy, 100th anniversary team. 9 Pro Bowls. 9 Pro Bowls. Eligible in 1980, he had to wait 3 years. Didn't get in until 1983. Middle linebacker, Bobby Bell's teammate, Willie Lanier.
Tremendous.
75th anniversary team. 100th anniversary team. Eligible in 1983. Didn't get inducted until 3 years later, 1986. We got Don Maynard for the Jets, wide receiver. First receiver to gain 10,000 yards in his career. First receiver to ever do that. 18.7 average per catch. None of these guys today have an average like that.
No.
Not even close.
No.
He was eligible in 1979. He didn't get in until 1987. So the point is, and I'll go on. I'll continue, but I don't want to just make it about this. But the point is, guys years ago had to wait their turn. Even guys that were on the 75th and 100th anniversary team had to wait their turn.
That's
and
right.
The modern day players, because of the media coverage, these modern day players, a lot of them, they don't have to wait. And like you said, when they do have to wait, they're up in arms. They're complaining that, I had to wait 2 years to get in the Hall of Fame. Years ago, like you said, a guy was honored. He didn't care that he had to wait. He was just honored that he got in.
Yeah. It's a different mindset. I saw Darren Woodson, who's actually one of the finalists this year, and he's running out of time. He's only got he'll become a senior member, I think, in 2 years. So he's got 2 more cracks at it, I think. 2 or 3, I'm not sure. And he blatantly came out and he said, I'm not embarrassed. I've been wanting this for a long time. He said, I shouldn't have to feel embarrassed about how I feel. And I get it. Listen, Drew Pearson really brought a lot of attention to this. And what made him get upset that day, you know the clip I'm talking about where he's in the kitchen at his house there and he's surrounded by the people. He actually breaks down. He's in tears. And then he apologizes for it. And he says, and what he was referring to, though, was he was on the all-decade team, I think, or I can't remember what team it was, and his backup, Harold Carmichael, got in before he did. And he wasn't, he said he deserves to get in. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. But then he made the point. Got it. He did get in the following year, but that shined a whole new light on things for the Hall of Fame. Because, look, we've been following football 50 years more. The Hall of Fame, all of a sudden the weekend would come and you're like, here's some new members for the Hall of Fame, right? Like it wasn't even a big, you know what I mean? Like you almost forgot about it. And you go, that guy deserves to get in. And now it's covered ad nauseum. Okay?
Yes.
And, who's going to make it? And they just had a show today. I didn't watch it, but they were predicting of this new class who was going to get in. And so, but I got some guys, Mark, before you go on with your list. I want to bring up some of these guys that are not in the Hall of Fame that I think should be in the Hall of Fame. I looked up some of their records. I looked up their careers. So I want to start with Mike Ken. Okay, here's a guy who's not in the Hall of Fame. Okay, he played in 200. Yes, exactly.
Tackle.
Yes, for the Atlanta Falcons, correct. 1 out of 251 games. Okay,
Wow.
started and played in every game. Mike Ken. 5-time. Let me tell you something. This is another big thing before I go on. Then when they started letting fans vote for the Pro, that was a downfall of it. 95 was the first year. So prior to 95, the Pro Bowl was voted upon by your peers. Okay, that's it. Now, this guy, all these things. And Mike Ken, so the All-Pros meant a lot back then. He was a 5-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. So, over a third of his career, he was at the best of his position. Okay, this guy's not in the Hall of Fame. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Okay, another guy. I don't even talk about this guy. I don't think he ran the wrong way. I don't give a crap. He ran the wrong way. Jim Marshall. This is this disgrace that he's not in the Hall of Fame. Now he's deceased, by the way. For those that don't know, 82 games this guy played in the defensive end. Ooh, okay? 130 sacks unofficially. Doesn't matter. They're recorded on tape. They go to these teams, and teams have these things recorded. Okay?
Right.
130 sacks for Jim Marshall. Something to sneeze at. 30 fumble recoveries. Played in 4 Super Bowls, okay? This guy is not in the Hall of Fame. It's a disgrace, really. It really is. And he doesn't even you don't even hear about him, okay? And another guy, while we're at that, another guy for the Vikings who should be in. I know he doesn't have gaudy numbers, but it was a different game in the 1970s. Chuck Foreman should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't care what anybody says, okay? Here's a guy, he was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-team All-Pro. When I mean All-Pro, I mean first and second team combined. Doesn't matter, okay? Whether you're the first or second best of your position. They list second team All-Pro, so he's an All-Pro, okay? He had about 6,000 yards rushing, nothing tremendous. 53 touchdowns, pretty good for 1970s. And he had over 3,000 yards receiving. He had 350 receptions, okay? He was the first guy to gain anything in those statistics since Lenny Moore. Since Lenny Moore retired, Chuck Foreman was the next best thing. He was Roger Craig before Roger Craig, who may get in this year. In fact, I think he is getting in. It kind of leaked out that he's going to get in. And he doesn't have the amount that Roger Craig has, okay? But it was a different game. It was 10 years prior. Craig started in 83. Chuck Foreman was 73. A whole completely different game.
Played less games, for one thing.
Less games for one thing. Listen, this guy got it done on a the funny part is he talks about it. There's an interview with him, and he's talking about the coach telling him, you're not going to get recognized for this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, but you're not going to be recognized for it. Bud Grant told him that, and I'm thinking to myself, this is great to me because he was right. Bud Grant, he was right.
Yeah, the receiving yards. I do remember the biggest thing. There was one other guy too. Chuck Foreman was one, and then in the AFC, Lydell Mitchell.
Yes, both, for the Colts.
Yes, they both got a tremendous amount of receptions and yardage receiving, and that gets overlooked. Lydell Mitchell and Chuck Foreman both get overlooked because they don't have tremendous amount of rushing yards. But look at their receiving. They both led the league in receiving more than once.
I mean, Roger Craig raised it up to another level. I think he got up to like 15,000 all-purpose yards, something like that. But Chuck Foreman led the league in touchdowns twice. And he also led the league in receptions as a running back. one time. 73
Yeah.
receptions in 1 year.
Yep. Yep.
Okay? And, you know, you could say, well, this is not. No, he was not very good. He was better than very good. All you got to do is win.
Right.
And sometimes we're just talking about numbers, Mark. You had to watch. You got to watch players. You can't. It's just not about numbers.
Exactly. No,
You got to watch
see
him. Yes, what he meant to
game
his team.
footage.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just highlight reels. You got to watch game footage.
Yes, he
I
was really
remember-
one of the. He was one of the first guys, Mark, to do that spin move.
That's right. That's
Remember
right.
that?
Yep. And Fran Tarkenton, not to take anything away from Fran Tarkenton, he belongs in the Hall of Fame, but Fran Tarkenton's got a lot of his yardage, a lot of his passing yardage is from throwing a 5-yard pass to Chuck Foreman, and then Chuck Foreman would run 60 yards for a touchdown. And he wouldn't get, he wouldn't get the credit for it. Tarkenton would get all the credit, and Foreman did all the work.
No, he
Take a
did.
5-year.
He did the he did the Cowboys in '73.
That's right.
Remember that game?
I remember it too well.
Yep. Go ahead, Mark, with that list again.
Okay, I'll name a few more. We got Mike Ditka. Again, 75th anniversary team. 100th anniversary team. 1978, he became eligible. He waited 10 years. Didn't get in until 1988. 10 years. Why? I don't know. John Mackey, another tight end, made the 100th anniversary team. He waited 14 years. Became eligible in 1978. Didn't get in until 1992. Now there we get back to what you were talking about earlier, about media, people holding a grudge. There may have, but there was a lot of talk at the time that there was people holding a grudge against John Mackey because he was the players' rep for the union. He was the leader of the union rep. And so there was a lot of NFL owners that did not like John Mackey.
Yeah.
Guard Larry Little. And again, back to actually watching these guys. I saw the guy play. He might have been the best pulling guard I ever saw.
Yeah, you loved Larry Little. You always talk about him.
Yeah. You look at the game footage of he was voted the best offensive lineman in the NFL 3 times. 3 times. 1986 he became eligible. Didn't get in till 7 years later. Okay, now we got a Dallas Cowboy. One of our guys. Mel Renfro.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Yes, sir.
The guy went to 10 Pro Bowls. And like you said, that's not when the fans were voting on it. That's when your peers were voting on it. When it meant something to make a Pro Bowl.
That's right. Not this garbage today. Flag football they're playing. Go ahead.
1983 became eligible.
Yeah.
Had to wait 13 years.
Yeah.
Didn't get until 1996.
Yeah.
13 years he had to wait.
What a disgrace, Mark.
And these guys complain because they got to wait 1 or 2 years?
No, it's a disgrace. Listen, listen.
It's the media coverage.
No,
these guys that we watched, these guys we watched in the 1970s, they didn't have anywhere near the media coverage that these guys have now. Not even close. So they get forgotten about.
That's part of the problem. I mean, I got a few other guys that I think should be in, Mark, that are not in, and one of them is.
Go ahead.
And believe it or not, some of them I didn't even think at first. I mean, maybe a few years ago, but now when you start to re-examine and you look, you got a guy like Everson Walls. Okay, I never really thought of him as a Hall of Famer, but he played in 170 of 186 games. He played 13 years. He had 11 interceptions his rookie year. He had a great rookie year.
Yeah.
The year that they went and they lost to San Francisco with the catch. He had a great year that year, okay? He was kind of overlooked. But when you look at him, the guy's got 57 interceptions, I believe. 57 picks. Okay? He's got more than Aeneas Williams. He's got more than Mike Haynes. Okay?
Right.
These guys are all in. He's got more, you know what I mean? He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. Not a lot, but listen, he was steady. He played a long time. He was very, very, very good. He matches up with numbers wise with guys that are already in. You could make a case for Everson. You can make a case for Everson Walls, I think.
I was really happy to see him. I was really happy to see him get a Super Bowl ring, even though it wasn't with the Cowboys. He finally got a Super Bowl ring with the Giants.
Yes, with the Giants. Yes, that's right.
And he deserved it.
Another guy you can make a case for is Clay Matthews, the linebacker for the Browns.
Right.
Okay. He played 19 years, Mark. 19 big ones, buddy. He played from 248 games out of 278. I think the end of his career, he missed some games, but I think he was just, not starting at that point. But 19 seasons, 16 interceptions. It's a pedestrian-like numbers. 14 fumble recoveries. 82 sacks, though, from the linebacker position. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he was a 4-time Pro Bowler, only one All-Pro. But you know something? It's not like baseball where they say these guys are compilers. You don't compile stuff playing in a physical sport like football. I'm sorry. Just the fact that you could play that many years and play in that many games, that itself is a feat. They don't understand that. That counts for something. You know what I mean? Like in football. You know what I mean? You're not just compiling. Okay?
No. Anyone that could play more than 10 years is quite an accomplishment with the amount of punishment your body takes.
Correct.
19 years is just it's unthinkable. That's like 2 careers. Who else you got?
I got Lester Hayes, Mark. The guy, they didn't throw to his thing a lot because he was kind of like Deion Sanders a little before Deion Sanders, but he was a 5-time Pro Bowler. He was All-Pro once. He was Defensive Player of the Year in 1980. He's on the All-Decade team. The All-Decade team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He was physical, right?
Not in.
He wouldn't let you come. Their first 5 yards. He was physical with receivers. He wouldn't let you. He wouldn't give you any space.
They talk about stick 'em and all this other garbage. Stick 'em. They got these gloves. These guys today. The wetter the ball gets and the wetter the weather is, the stickier they get. They interviewed the receiver for the Seahawks the other day, right after the game. Najigma. Okay, that's his last name. And he said, the lady says that was on the sideline, I forgot her name. She says, how'd you get that catch? Let's talk about that one-handed catch. He said, well, I knew I couldn't reach you with 2 hands, so I just stuck my hand and it stuck to it. It's exactly what he said. And the ball stuck to it. These guys wouldn't be making these catches without the gloves.
No, not even. People don't understand what a difference it makes to not have gloves.
Yes,
There's no way you could catch.
Yes, it's the initial. Once the ball gets gripped or stuck to, your hand, then that's all you got to do is get it under control. It's already there. Half the job is already done. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's exciting, and these guys make it. It's all just. Whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is, Mark. I get aggravated, but he summed it all up. He said I stuck my hand out and the ball stuck to it.
At least he was honest. he he recognized that it was the glove that did it for him.
I got one more, John. Mark, I'm sorry. Tackle Joe Jacoby.
Yeah.
13 years he played, okay? And a lot of people say Russ Grimm, his counterpart there. He was a guard for the Redskins. Right. Jacoby was a tackle. A lot of people say Russ Grimm shouldn't be in. Jacoby's numbers are better. And I didn't realize this. I forgot about it. Jacoby was a free agent. Jacoby was never drafted.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Wow.
48 games. He played in 148. He started out of 170. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. And he won 3. He was a member of 3 Super Bowl. Super Bowls are a team thing. But when they're looking at you for the Hall of Fame, they always throw that in there, so it must mean something. Super Bowls, right?
That's right. Yeah, and look at that offensive line they had. That's another thing I get annoyed with. This is kind of off the topic, but since you're bringing up an offensive lineman, always hear about, Emmitt Smith wouldn't have been as good without that offensive line. What about that offensive line John Riggins ran behind? The Hogs.
Yes.
That was a tremendous, tremendous offensive line.
That's right.
Now I'm not going to take credit away from John Riggins because he had a great offensive line. Look at how many players, you look at the history of the game. People don't know the history. You go down the line and look at how many running backs had a great offensive line. Emmitt Smith is not the only one who had a great offensive line. There's a lot of running backs that had a great offensive line.
That's right. You could look at Marcus Allen. He had a great line.
That's right.
Right? Yep. Shell and Upshaw were still there for Marcus Allen, I think. Right?
I'm not sure if they were still there, but Larry Zonka, Jim Brown had a great offensive line. But people don't understand that a great running back makes an offensive line play better. They don't get that part.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember Nate Newton, right? I remember Nate Newton said that. He said, I was here before Emmitt Smith. I was average, maybe even below average offensive lineman. Maybe even below. I was just a fat, slow guy.
Right.
When Emmitt Smith got there, he said, when Emmitt Smith got there, my career took off. I became a way better offensive lineman because of Emmitt Smith.
Yes, exactly right.
There's nothing an offensive line likes better than to have a great running back running behind them, knowing that their block is going to mean something.
No, listen, he was. I mean, he came from the Redskins, and he thought he was going to, they told Jerry Jones, these guys, he wasted his, he ate himself out of a position.
Right.
But he hung in there. Listen, you got to give him credit. He hung in there with that training camp with Jimmy. Okay, that first year, he was brutal. But, what's his name commented on that, by the way? I want to tell you something. Jim Jeffcoat commented. Jim Jeffcoat was a guest on an old-timer show. I was just watching it. And he said, they talked about Jimmy Johnson's training camps being brutal. He said, I've been to both. I was at both. Landry's were tougher. Yeah. He said, Landry's practices lasted 3 hours. 3 hours of content. He said, Jimmy's, okay, there was hitting and this. He said, but Landry's were very physical as far as being in condition and everything.
That's right.
And Jim Jeffcoat said this was a little easier, he said. Wasn't as hard. Yeah. I didn't really realize that. I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah. There was a lot of running. Landry believed in a lot of running.
Yeah. Randy White talked about that. He said he passed him out on the Landry Mile. And he said, we saw the coach ahead of us. And he said, boy, I'm never gonna make the team, he said.
Yep. I got 5 more guys that had to wait. I got Tom Mack. offensive guard for the Rams, Tom Mack. Guy went to 11 Pro Bowls, waited 15 years.
That's insane.
He was eligible in 1984. He didn't get in until 1999. 11 Pro Bowls.
Insane.
His teammate on the defensive side of the ball, defensive end Jack Youngblood. 7 straight Pro Bowls. 5 All-Pro, 5 times All-Pro. 1990, he became eligible. Didn't get in till 11 years later. Okay, we got another defensive end, Carl Eller. 9-time first or second team All-NFL. Became eligible in 1985. He didn't get in till 2004. Okay, I got 2 more guys. Harry Carson, middle linebacker for the Giants. 9 Pro Bowls. Became eligible in 1994. Didn't get in till 12 years later. And the final guy is more recent. I forget if he was middle linebacker or outside. I think he was a middle linebacker. Randy Gradishar.
Yeah.
Went to 7 Pro Bowls. 1978 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He had to wait 25 years. 1989, he was eligible. He waited 25 years to get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think I was there for Harry Carson. I think he got in with Aikman and Rayfield Wright. I think he got in 2006. I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But
2006.
Listen, all this stuff that we're talking about, I think anybody under the age of 40 wouldn't even really be able to relate to it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Unless they're really a football historian.
Because everything's instantaneous today. They want everything instantly. Their computer's not reacting fast enough. The phone doesn't work quick enough. All this other garbage that they're talking about. Oh, he's a first ballot. Listen, I talked about Eli Manning before and how polarizing the process is. The same thing happened. I stumbled upon a little older show with Jason Whitlock, who I kind of like. He's still on, but at this time, I think he was on ESPN. And Colin Cowherd was his guest, and there were 2 former players as guests, Eric Davis for the 49ers and Ray Lewis. And they were talking about Jason Witten because his career was winding down. I think he was still playing, but he might have, I don't know, there was a year he took off and then he came back for 2 years. I'm not sure exactly, but I think the show was from 2017. And they said, is Jason Witten a Hall of Famer? And they were looking at his stats. And at the time, he wasn't where he is now. He played 2 more years. And they were saying the 2 players, because they played, Eric Davis made a great point, but Whitlock was like, I don't consider him. He was basically calling him a compiler. He was steady for a long period of time, very steady. He piled up the stats. And whatchamacallit thought he was a little better than that, Colin Cowherd, but he still wasn't sold on it, I don't think. And Eric Davis said, look, what they were talking about, Whitlock brought up the fact that he only had, at the time, 63 touchdowns. I think he retired with 70-something touchdowns. But he said, look at Tony Gonzalez, 111 touchdowns. Antonio Gates, 111 touchdowns. And Ray Lewis says, yeah, but Jason Witten, they kept him in for max protection a lot of times. He wasn't even down. A lot of his touchdowns are from further out because on the goal line, he wasn't even running routes.
That's right.
Because he was a very good blocker. See, and then he says, Ray Lewis, hey, look, he ran a Y pattern, Jason Garrett used to talk about it. He was the greatest in his position to run this Y where you could go inside or outside. It was just a little turnaround. And Ray Lewis said you couldn't cover him. This is Ray Lewis saying this. Okay?
Right.
He was hard to cover in that small space that he occupied. He was great at boxing guys out. And even Eric Davis said, listen, not too many guys played longer with that consistency. Once again, that counts for something. He's the second in receptions and the second in yardage of all tight ends that ever played.
Right.
How do you? He's on the ballot this year. He may not get in as a first ballot. I think he's. I think he's good enough to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's qualified. Me personally, not because he's a Cowboy, but because like I said, he's second at his position in those two categories of all time.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And like you said before, there's too many people that all they want to do is look at the numbers and look at the stats, and the blocking gets overlooked. Look at the two guys I named, Mike Ditka and John Mackey, two of the greatest blocking tight ends ever. And they didn't use the tight end nearly as much as they use them today for pass reception.
Listen,
but these guys.
I'll go over, Mark. We already talked about the five guys earlier who, and two of them we know are not getting in, and three of them, Roger Craig is getting in. So we know the fate of three of those five. We know about Elsie Greenwood. We'll find out tonight. Tonight is when it comes up, and we'll find out about. Know that. Yeah, and we'll find out about Kenny Anderson. But the other 15 guys. Of the 15 finalists were, I'm going to be honest with you, Mark, and I follow football quite a bit because of fantasy football, so I'm looking at a lot of different teams. There were 3 or 4 guys on that list who are deserving to get into the Hall of Fame. I've never heard of them. Never heard of them before this week. One of them was a guy named, he had an odd name. Marshall Yanda. He was a guard and a tackle for the Baltimore Ravens from 2007 to 2019. He's got very good stats. I looked him up. And there was a couple other guys. Ahari Evans, who I've heard of, he was a guard for the Saints, and he played with the Packers at the end. He played from 2006 to 2016. Willie Anderson, he was a defensive tackle. Kevin Williams. He was a defensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, Seahawks, and Saints. He played along 2003 to 2013. All these guys, they had a lot of all-pro seasons. They had a lot of Pro Bowls. And Willie Anderson, who was an offensive tackle for the Bengals and the Ravens. Those were 4 guys you don't hear a lot of. You don't really know. I'm like, the names were not familiar. Willie, the guy for the Vikings was, but the rest of them. And so when you go down and you look at their years of eligibility, they broke it down. Right. So of these guys that are on the list right now, of the 15, Anderson has been 5 times has made it to this. You get put on that list. You become eligible the following year if you become a finalist and you've received at least 4 votes. Then you become eligible the following year again. So Willie Anderson this is his 5th time. Jahari Evans, 3rd time. Okay. Kevin Williams, this is his 1st time. And the other guy, Yanda, 2nd time. Okay. But of all the guys that are on the list now, it's getting to the point where some of them are going to be off the list soon. And that's going to be Darren Woodson. Darren Woodson's near the end. It'll be 25 years for him. His eligibility started 5 years after he retired, and now it's coming up to almost, I think, 3 more years will be 25. But if you look at this is where the problem lies. If you look at the first year finalists, this is their first year. You got Drew Brees. He's going to get in. There's no doubt about it. He's getting in his first time. It's hard to think that he wouldn't. Frank Gore. Here's an interesting guy. I think I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on it. I think he's 3rd in rushing all time. I think behind Emmitt Smith and what's his name? Sanders. I'm thinking to myself, no, Payton, I think, Walter Payton. I think Sanders never
Peyton.
caught him. Yeah. And I'm thinking he's piled up, Mark, 16,000 yards of rushing. 16,000.
Wow.
Okay? And to boot, another 4,000 yards in receiving. The guy plays 16 years at the running back position.
It's a lot
16
of
years. It's
for a
almost
running
unheard
back.
of. Yes.
Yeah.
And I looked at his games. This guy, in his first season, he only started one game out of 14. But if you look at his totals, he played in 241 games. He started 218 of them. I'm looking down the line right now. 16 out of 16, 15 out of 15, 14 out of 14, 11 out of 11, 16 out of 16, 16 out of 16. The next 6 years. 1 year in 2011, 15 out of 16. This guy, I'll say it again, I don't care. It's not compiling. Not in football, it's not. I'm sorry. So whether he gets in or not, they're gonna have to pass up. They're gonna have to pass up on at least one of these guys that I'm mentioning, because they're gonna have to get one of these other guys in. So of the first year guys, it's Breeze, it's Frank Gore, then you got Larry Fitzgerald. I can't see them passing up on him. I looked at his stats. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. You know, his stats are, he's one of the greatest of all time to play that position. The problem is, because of the passing game today, all these receivers have phenomenal stats.
Yeah.
You got Torrey Holt now, who played with the Rams on that Greatest Show on Turf. He's now in his 7th time. He's in his 7th time now on this list, and so is Reggie Wayne from the Colts. These guys have tremendous statistics, and Fitzgerald has no Super Bowls. Obviously, Wayne has one, but Fitzgerald did play, and so Wayne I think played in 2. I think, I'm not sure, but both of those guys, this is their 7th year now. They're at this waiting. And so I think one of those guys are going to get in. The other 2 first-timers are Kevin Williams, the defensive lineman we talked about, and Jason Witten, who we already talked about. So those are your first-year ballot guys: Breeze, Fitzgerald, Gore, Williams, and Witten.
Right.
They're only going to take 8 guys, okay? And if Roger Craig's getting in already, we know him. Now you're down to 7. So, I mean, the other guys being mentioned, Luke Kuechly's back on the list. Eli Manning's back on the list. Terrell Suggs is back on it. Adam Vinatieri's back on it. He deserves to get in, by the way. I mean, they all deserve to get in if you look at all their but the problem is you've got 50. There it is again. You're only getting in so many.
Yeah, and I know there's probably a lot of people that think it should be 8 is the limit, right? They can't let in more than 8. I know there's people that. Yeah.
Yeah, they made an exception, Mark, for they made an exception in that 100-year anniversary. They
2020.
They caught up on some of the older players. They did do that. But yes, correct. Go ahead with your point with the 8 guys, yeah.
2020, I don't know. At first I thought it was good, but they kind of opened the floodgates. Maybe they went from one extreme to another, In 2020, they let in about 20 guys. But anyway, you got a limit of 8, and I know there's a lot of people that think it should be more than 8, but you have to, I mean, you can't just let everybody in. Otherwise, what's special about it anymore? If you're letting players that are, that were not dominant players, now what's special about getting in it's not special anymore. So I think 8. And I think years ago it was even less than 8. I think years ago it was only 6. 6 was the limit. But, you just can't, I hear people, I belong to a lot of these football groups. Yeah. And I hear some of the names, this guy should be in, that guy should be in, this guy. Well, come on, you can't let everybody in. Otherwise, it's not special anymore. And I think maybe sometimes, like you were saying earlier, now it's like such a big deal, where years ago 40 years ago, a guy got in the Hall of Fame. They didn't, make as big of a deal, or somebody that didn't get in. It wasn't like the crime of the century. Now,
Mm,
a guy
yes.
doesn't get in, and they go crazy. They're going crazy because a certain
you,
a certain
you,
guy.
you said it, Mark. The press.
Yes, the media coverage, 24 hour a day coverage, sports radio, all these sports shows on TV. It's 24-hour coverage, so they run out of things to talk about. So they have to they have to talk about something, right? They're
Yes.
gonna.
Yes. When you talk about years of eligibility, uh, don't forget you got to be out for 5 years. So
That's right.
when you get to your 20th year of eligibility, it's over because now you're out 25 years, really. Okay, you're not
Yep.
eligible for the first five. So you have a 20-year span. After that, you become a senior. We talked about it before. And so
Right.
when I looked at this list of the guys getting in tonight, that are both supposed to get in tonight,
Yeah.
Darren Woodson's in his 18th year of eligibility. He's only got 2 more years left. And Willie Anderson, the guy we talked about, the lineman, he's in his 13th year, and Torrey Holtz in their 12th. His 12th, I'm sorry. So those are the three that are into the double digits.
Right.
And I looked at these guys, and I looked at this, like this Jahari Evans, okay? This is his 4th year of eligibility, 3 times as a finalist, played with the Saints 2006 to 2016. This guy was a 4-time All-Pro. That's pretty good, 4 times. All-Pro. And he won a Super Bowl with the Saints, and he's named to their anniversary team. He's an all-NFL, he's an all-decade player of the 2010s. When you
Right.
start getting into that, all-decade, being an all-decade player, that's a pretty good feather in your cap.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of that?
No.
Just that one, what do you think of an all-decade player? Most of the guys from the past teams, Mark, almost all of them are in now.
Most of them. Yeah.
70s and the
But
80s
still,
go look at the 70s and 80 all-decade teams.
that's right.
95% of those guys are in.
Yeah. Now, out of the eight guys that can get in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think two of them have to be senior members.
Okay.
I
Then it's
think it seems like every year there's at least two senior members that get in,
yeah.
and I think
Or that group of five. In other words, a coach and a senior member, or a contributor and a senior member. If Kraft got in and Roger Craig got in, that would be it from that list. That's how that
right.
works. You're right. That's
Yep.
correct.
So
Yeah. Well,
maybe the
we know Eli Manning got snubbed again. That's been in the news, so he's not getting in again this year. He's been
okay.
ruled out.
Well, yeah, and they'll make a big deal of it. There'll be people making a big deal of it, but hey, he's gonna get in. He's got to wait his turn. That's it. He's got to wait his turn. Just like these guys that I mentioned. I mentioned 16 players, and I could name a lot more. I had to really narrow this list down. I could have kept going, but this is 16 guys I named that waited a long time to get in, and some of these guys were on the 75th and 100th anniversary team, and they still couldn't get in right away.
Like this, I'm looking at this Kevin Williams, this lineman that was for the Vikings. Most of his career a lot of it was with the Vikings. This is his 6th year of eligibility, so he's got other years. But he's a guy. I mean, I'm looking at his specs. I'm not talking, like you said, you got to watch the guy. But I remember watching him play as well. He's got 63. He's an inside. He was an inside player. He remained a defensive tackle for quite some time. He did play a little defensive end. He doesn't have a ton of sacks. He's got 63 sacks. He's got a lot of tackles for losses. He's got 113 tackles for losses. He's got some forced fumbles, 9 fumble recoveries. He was 6-team pro, but he was first team All-Pro 5 times. That's pretty good. When you start getting, that's over a third of your career. I mean, listen, the guys that are first ballot Hall of Famers, you take guys like Bob Lilly, who were, they're 9 and 10 time All Pro players. Randy White was 8 or 9, I think, All Pro. When you get into that, Merlin Olsen, okay, when you start getting into that, those are elite players.
Yeah, you don't
They
even have
talked
to think
about
about it.
yes, they talked about breaking the Hall of Fame down. Deion Sanders mentioned it about breaking it into levels. See, but then that you can't do that because that kind of diminishes the other guys that are in. Maybe not their first belt, but it doesn't matter. They're in.
Right.
You can't really break it down to levels, right? It's not really fair, right?
Right. Now, this guy you were talking about that played for the Vikings.
Yes.
I think this is the guy. That Paul Zimmerman spoke about, who used to be. Well, he's passed on now, but he was a Hall of Fame committee member for many years.
Yes.
And I always respected his opinion because he was very knowledgeable on football history. I think that's the guy he spoke about with the Vikings. Too many people, they want to look at, how many sacks did he have?
Yes.
But they don't look at this was from Paul Zimmerman. They don't look at the fact that this guy's taking up 2 and 3 blockers so that his teammates can get the sacks.
Yes.
He's not going to get a lot of sacks because his job is to take up those blockers. Guy's occupying 2 or 3 blockers on every play. They don't see that.
Yes.
It's overlooked.
Of the guys, of those 4 guys that were a little, kind of new to me, he actually has the best credentials. If you look at as far as, he's got all pros, 10 sacks his rookie season, 15 for losses. Listen, all of these guys that are on this list, Anna Vinatieri deserves to get in. He made some of those kicks he made. That one in the snow game there, the tuck rule game. That was a tremendous kick in the snow. To put them into the Super Bowl.
That's a clutch kick.
He's a member of the NFL all-time 100 team. Vinatieri.
Yep.
100.
The kicker that I always thought. I think he did finally get in, but during the time I was watching football, one kicker I thought that was just tremendous was Morton Anderson.
Yeah, he got in, yeah.
Okay, Morton, I'm glad to hear he got in because he was tremendous. He was the only kicker I ever remember that almost all of his field goals, they went right down the middle. It wasn't like it was close to hitting the goalpost, They were like right down the middle.
Yeah, no, he was pretty clutch. I think he got in 2017, Mark. Morton Anderson. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. You lose track of these things after you get over. But I think it was 2017. He played. I think he played, Mark, 25 years. If I'm not mistaken, I'll look him up in a second. But I think he played 25 years, Morton Anderson. It was some incredible amount of years. He played with the Saints, and then I think he ended up with the Falcons.
Yeah.
I think
that's like
something like that.
That's like George Blanda played till he was 50.
Yeah, at the time when he got in, he held the record for most games played, regular season games, like 380 something games. And he also held the record. He was the all-time leading scorer. I think he might still be. I know he was when he got in. That's 9 years ago. But I think he still is. And at the time, I think he was only behind Jan Stenerud as the only pure kickers to be in the Hall of Fame, I think.
Right. Yep, that's true. I'll give you 2 guys. I'll give you 2 guys that, and this is coming from someone that thinks they let too many people in. I'm one of those people that thinks, oh, you have to be a dominant player to get in the Hall of Fame. And I think they've let some guys in that I don't really consider dominant. I'm not going to name who, but I think there are some players in the Hall of Fame that were not really dominant players. But
Yeah.
I've got two guys that I wonder why they're not in. One is Otis Taylor, the wide receiver for the Chiefs. I don't think there was I don't think there was a receiver in the old AFL that was more feared than Otis Taylor. And again, overlooked because he was probably the best blocking wide receiver in the league. He was probably the best blocking. The guy was huge for that time for a receiver. I think he was like 6'3", 220, 225. He gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a guy. Well, there's one funny story about Otis Taylor to show you how tough he was also. You remember the defensive end for the Raiders with the handlebar mustache, Ben.
Ben Davidson, yes.
That's right.
He started a couple of big fights with the Chiefs.
That's right. He was widely recognized as a cheap shot artist.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the way the game was then. But the Chiefs and Raiders didn't like each other, and Ben Davidson hit Lenny Dawson I mean, this was like way after he threw the ball. This wasn't just a late hit. It was a really late hit. And Otis Taylor chased Ben Davidson down the field and threw him down to the ground, and he started fighting.
I think that was one of those big brawls.
That's right. Yep.
It was one of those big brawls. It was a bench clearing brawl, that fight.
That's right. That's right.
Look, I pulled Otis Taylor up here. The last time he was a semifinalist was in 2023. Okay? And according to this, it says representing a long overdue serious consideration in the senior category.
Yeah.
One of the biggest snubs in NFL history. Okay? And you're right, but that was the last time he didn't make the final cut. That was the last time he did make it from 25. Right. They went from 25 to 12, and he that was the last time he got down to the 12.
Yep.
I think it's a disgrace.
There's a guy that's a finalist this year. We'll find out tonight, like you said. That I think is deserving. He gets overlooked because of the team that he played on and some of the names that were surrounding him. And I'm talking about defensive end for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
And you and I don't have any love for the Pittsburgh Steelers for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Because they beat our Cowboys. But L.C. Greenwood, I think, should get in because you look at those Super Bowls, the 4 Super Bowls, just look at the 2 against the Cowboys. It seemed like on every time Staubach dropped back to pass, L.C. Greenwood was in his face.
Yeah. I looked him up last night, and I jotted it down because I wasn't sure on L.C. Greenwood, and I jotted it down in the notes. He had he was 2-time All-Pro. He's all 70s team, by the way, and he was a 4-time Super Bowl champion, which helps. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler when the Pro Bowler meant something. Okay,
right.
So his All Pros were kind of low, just only 2. But you know something? He played 13 years. Started 135 out of 170 games. That's pretty good, and he had 78 sacks.
Right.
I think the Super Bowls help him a lot in this particular case. But I think he will probably, he may get in this time. I'm not 100% sure, but you would think he might.
Yeah. I'm pulling for him.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
no,
was
so am
I
I.
was I think it's just the case with him. Even the fact that he only had two All Pro. I think a lot of that has to do with just look at the names he was surrounded by. Joe Green, Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Mel Blunt. So it's easy to get overlooked when you're playing on the same team as those guys.
No,
But you look at the
it's
four, yeah, look at the four Super Bowls that he played in. He played tremendous in all four of those games.
yes, yes,
I thought
exactly.
Super Bowl, I thought Super Bowl 10, he might have even deserved the MVP if it wasn't for those circus catches that Lynn Swan made. He might have
Yeah,
got MVP.
yeah. I think they had 6 or 8 sacks, the Steelers, in that game. I can't remember, Mark, what against Staubach,
Yeah,
who was
he
not the
really
easiest to
harassed him.
sack, right?
No, no,
Well,
no. That
while
was
we're on the Hall of Fame, Mark, I did look up the original class from 1963. Because when you tell people, the Hall of Fame and this, you're talking about the Hall of Fame. When you start talking about it, people don't realize it just started in 1963. And you may seem it a long time ago, but I mean, I was alive in 1963. It's
Yep.
it's not like it goes back to the 50s or anything. So,
No.
but there were 17 guys in that initial class. 4 of them were not players. Burt Bell and Joe Carr, they were not players, and neither was there was 2 other guys. I think George Preston Marshall, owner of the Redskins, and Tim Mara were the owners of the Giants. So there was a
Right.
couple owners in there, a couple of media guys. Burt Bell was a commissioner. Um, and so, but then you had legendary guys. The rest of them were all players. So the 13 players, you had Sammy Baugh, some of the most notable guys, Greg Grange, George Hallis got in, obviously. We talked about him. Uh, 40 years as a head coach. When they talk about the presidents, there's a clip on NFL Films that says he won his first when this guy was in office, and he won his second when Lyndon Johnson was in office, and X amount and all. But Mel Hine, you know about Mel Hine, obviously.
Yep. One of the
Don,
greatest centers.
yeah, Don Hudson, and Curly Lambeau is in there. He's in there, and Bronco Nagurski, and Jim Thorpe,
Yep.
and
Yep.
Ernie Nevers. Whenever I hear Bronco Nagurski, I always think of that guy I told you about him, and grew up near on my paper route there.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, he was. We called him Grady because that was his sister's name, but he's in there. 1921, played for the Hartford Blues. 26 or 27. I'm sorry. He was the biggest man in the decade, but he lived right down the street here. That was unbelievable. We didn't even realize what we had over there. But
Yeah.
yeah, and there's a picture of Bronco Nagurski here, who. But they brought in Red Grange. Kind of, he was more of a college guy, wasn't he?
Yep. Yeah. But he was a I mean, he was the biggest name to come. Yeah, you have to remember that when he came into the NFL was just starting, and they needed a big name like that.
Yeah, no, that's right. 25, they brought him in, I think.
That's right.
That was
1963. The Hall of Fame opened in 1963. That means the NFL was already 43 years in existence. NFL started in 1920. That's 43 years of existence before they even opened the Hall of Fame.
yeah. Imagine that. They had a little footnote here where they talked about Don Hudson. I guess there was now it's no more of a stat, but it was once a stat called the most records held. He had that at one time. Most records held. They don't have that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Don Hudson. That's another guy that Paul Zimmerman spoke about. Don Hudson.
Yes.
He actually flew out to He flew out to Wisconsin to the Green Bay Packers training facility where they had all the old game footage because it's very hard to get, from way
Yeah.
back then, the 1930s, 1940s, very hard to get game footage. So he had to fly all the way out to the Packers training facility, and they let him watch the game footage, and he was watching Don Hudson. He said he couldn't even believe the circus catches that he was making. Like nobody even at that time, nobody even close to Don Hudson.
No, no, it was unheard of. Exactly. If you look up his stats versus the other receivers of that time, it's almost you think it was a joke.
Yeah,
You know?
not even close. Not even close.
No.
So that's why, it's another thing when people, what I don't like when people say, oh, this guy was the greatest of, right away, when you talk about wide receivers, they're going to say, Jerry Rice was the greatest receiver of all time. And I really don't like that because certainly he was the greatest receiver of his era. But how are you going to compare him to someone like Don Hudson? You can't compare. It was a completely different game. There's no way you can compare the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
How you going to say? How you going to say Jerry Rice was better than Don Hudson? And you can't. It's a completely different game. Completely different rules. Everything about the game was different. So there's
you're
really
right.
no way to compare.
There's
no way to compare that.
I got into an argument about, there was a guy talking about, Miles Garrett. He set the sack record. Well, if you look at the play, Joe Burrow goes down kind of just like Brett Favre did. For I don't know if you saw the play. Miles Garrett sets this record, but they claim that there's other guys that they talk about Harvey Martin having 23 sacks in 1977. They have them all. You could go on and you could see them all on. They have a list that shows them. But
that's a 14. That's a 14-game schedule, by the way.
Yes, and there's other guys too that they claim that could have had it, but they said they went back and they saw that some of them were only half sacks. I think Coy Bacon was one of them. Coy Bacon. Yeah, and
Bacon.
Remember
Deacon
he played
Jones.
with the Chargers. He played with the Redskins.
Yeah,
Coy Bacon, but
that's right.
It's listen. We talked about it. It's very subjective. We mentioned all the things about how people look at certain things, and I talked about Eli Manning. We talked about Jason Witten and how everything that's looked at by two completely different sets of eyeglasses.
Yeah. It all boils down to someone's opinion, and these guys on the committee. It's not an easy job. Not an easy job to pick through all those names. You start with 60 players, and you got to narrow it down to 8.
And
That's
if anybody thinks the Pro Bowl isn't a joke now, listen, they called up Justin Fields to see if he wanted to play in the Pro Bowl. There's a guy that played in 9 games this year with the Jets, 1,259 passing yards. You think you were talking about 1968 here? 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. And this is Pro Bowl. I mean, that's nobody plays or they pass it up. But my question is this: if he actually did play in it, he'd be recognized as that? He's an alternate. That gets recognized as a Pro Bowl?
I guess so.
I'm not sure. I don't know if it works, but it's a disgrace if it is.
Yeah, well, like you said, once they let the fans decide who goes to the Pro Bowl, it doesn't even mean anything anymore.
No, I mean, it's only a third of the vote. I get it. The fans only count for a third. The other 2/3 are still made up, but still, it's influencing it.
1/3 is a lot.
Yeah, it's influencing it.
Yep.
Since it's Super Bowl week, before we end, Mark, I want to talk about my Super Bowl jacket that I put on, and you're familiar with the patches, and I even got the games the Cowboys lost. I didn't exclude those. So what do we got here? We got, I think, 12 in this one here.
Yeah.
This is
That's
Super Bowl
5.
6. Yeah, is it 5?
6?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
either 5 or 6. I don't know. 5 or
This
6.
this is 6. This is actually
6.
one of my favorites.
Right.
Um, there's Super Bowl 10. It's another one of my
Yeah, that's a
favorites.
nice one.
And there's Super Bowl 13. That's a
13.
famous
Yeah,
one. You know,
that's
that was
right.
the still regarded as one of the greatest Super Bowls ever played. How many Hall of Famers were in that Super Bowl? I forgot, but a lot.
Over 20. Over 20.
Over
If you
20, right?
include if you include coaches and GMs and all that,
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
at least 20 players, and then on top of that you have coaches and GMs.
yeah. And these were the real patches. These weren't the knockoff patches. They talked about the glue and all this other stuff. And there's one more, Mark. I don't think I ever showed you this pin. This is a leather coat. I don't wear this all that much, but I have some Super Bowl pins on it. You know,
Huh?
and one of them here. Let me just find it. One of them is this. This is one of my favorite pins right here. It's this. This was in the Super Bowl 30 when the Cowboys played in Arizona
Steelers.
against
That's right.
against the Steelers. Super Bowl
Yeah.
30, and you could see the. I don't know if you could see it, but there's like some cactus there, and there's like a
Yeah.
stagecoach, and it's
Yeah,
got
I
the
see it.
Super Bowl logo, and that was a pin
Yeah.
for the press. That was given out as a press pin, and I picked that up from a guy who was out of Dallas. He was a great guy. He used to see at one of these shows. I think his name was Rich Haskins or Rick Haskins. I got to look him up, but he had that pin, and it was kind of rare to find it. I picked that up.
Yeah.
I think when I was down for the Super Bowl, when the Packers played the Steelers, I went down to Dallas for that pin. And
Right.
actually, I do have a pin from that game. That's that pin right there. That was that Super
Yeah.
Bowl, Packers against the Steelers down in Texas. That's
Yep.
where I got that stagecoach pin, though, and that was given to all the media personnel that year. But they're kind of something a little different.
Right. What's on the back of the jacket and the sleeve?
The back of the jacket is just the star, and then this
Yeah.
was a Carl Banks. Carl Banks had these. He had his own line of jackets, and some of the other pins I put on the front. They were just different Super Bowls. You could see the helmets. They were the 5 that the
Right.
Cowboy played in. This is, I
Yeah.
think, this one here is a Cowboys. There's a Hall of Fame pin right here on there, and there's
Yeah.
mostly Super Bowl pins. But yeah. Then on the sleeve it says it's got Carl Banks. It's got his thing
Yeah.
there, and then on the other sleeve, I think it says Cowboys on the sleeve. Runs down the sleeve. I
Yeah.
had a
Good.
different jacket, and I forgot where I picked it up at the time. I left it in my car when we had the ice cream shop. Sure
Right.
enough, I come out that night, windows broken, jacket's gone. So I looked
My
for
goodness.
another one, and I ended up getting this one here. So I've had it a long, long
Yeah.
time now. I don't really wear it all that much, but maybe I'll
Right.
wear it out. Yeah, wear it out this weekend. But
Yeah. Well,
it is what it
what
is.
about what about the jacket you're wearing?
I'm sorry, Mark. What was it?
The jacket that you're wearing, does that have anything on the back or the sleeve?
The jacket that I'm wearing actually has Cowboys on the back. I don't know if you can see the lettering. Can you see
I
that
see
at
it.
all?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I
it's
see
got
it.
Cowboys, and this is a nice jacket. I've got 2 of these. I got another one. Instead of the star, it's got the helmet on it, and that has the other 4 Super Bowl patches on the other. No, but this one's a little older,
Right.
and I got some small pins on there on the stars. I stick them.
Yeah.
People go, "Oh, you're ruining it. What are you doing sewing those pins?" Listen, who cares?
Yeah.
It's funny. A buddy of mine was watching Joe Montana. They interviewed him the other day, and they asked Montana about his jerseys. And he goes, you know,
Right.
I was never much on collectibles. He said, I got my jerseys hanging around at the house somewhere. He goes, they're in a box. So, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know what I mean? It's just, he doesn't care about it really. I mean, I bet you those are
Right.
worth thousands of dollars each. They got to be. Those Joe Montana
Probably.
jerseys.
Especially if he order.
Several thousands of dollars each.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially if he signs them.
yeah, I mean, but he's got them at the
Especially.
house. They're not even
Yeah.
framed. They're hanging up in his house. He doesn't even, he said they're in a box, he said.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
yes. There's a
So,
good. You mentioned the jacket there. There was another great player, Carl Banks.
yes.
Right. Well, what
Yeah.
are you gonna do? You can't. They can't all get in. There's only
No.
8 guys. There's 8 guys that can get. That's what people don't understand. There's a
That's
limit.
right.
Not everybody's going to get in, and you got to get over it. You got to get
Yeah.
over it.
And they did it on
It
purpose with 8 to limit it.
Right.
So, you know, it is what it is, you know, but
It doesn't mean you weren't a great player. You know.
no.
Just because you're not in the Hall of Fame doesn't mean you weren't a great player. And like
No,
you said, the
exactly.
peers, your peers, that's the biggest compliment. More than getting a Hall of Fame bust. When your
Yes,
peers say that you belong in the Hall of Fame,
that's
that's what
correct.
really counts. Yep.
Now you're talking, Mark. Now you're talking.
Yep.
Now you're talking,
So,
buddy. But they, you know,
that's
they ruined that as regarding the Pro Bowl. You know, they ruined
oh,
that by what we talked about. But you know, we'll see what happens tonight. It'll be interesting tonight. I think it'll be interesting. I'm
yeah.
curious to see who's going to get in.
Yeah, I'm pulling for L.C. Greenwood, even though he's a
Yeah,
Steeler.
you know. On another note, I watched a film the other day about the coldest game ever played, which was it was that Bengal game. You know, they claim
The
it was
Chargers
51
and
below
Bengals.
zero. The Bengals against
With
the
the wind chill factor.
uh,
Bengals and Chargers.
yes. And I watched
Chargers.
that
Yeah.
game, and I watched Kenny Anderson talk about it. He's in the film talking about the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's on the list for tonight, Kenny
Yeah.
Anderson.
He,
I don't know
yeah.
if he'll get in, but, you know,
Well,
he had a
it's
very,
easy to overlook him too, because look at how many other great quarterbacks were playing at the time.
yeah, no, listen, that's another concept about Mark. That's a whole
Yeah.
nother feature, you know what I mean? A
Right.
whole nother thing to consider, you know? But he really,
That's right.
he had a very good game, you know, that game. They showed Dan Fouts throwing the ball. The wind was so brutal, the ball would just die. I've never seen,
Yeah.
you know, I never really looked at film from that. I never saw anything like it. Kenny Anderson said, first play of the game, I threw not a screen, but they called like a flat pass to Pete
Right.
Johnson. Remember Pete Johnson?
Yeah. Big
The
guy.
big running back? Yes.
Yeah.
He said the ball, simple pass. He goes, the ball went 10 yards, not even, and it fell to the ground. It's like somebody
Wow.
shot it out of the air. It looked like somebody was
Yeah.
shooting at the ball.
Yeah.
No, it was
Sound like a brick.
it was
Brutal.
it was not as cold. It was -1, I think, but the minus chill was 51, which is colder than the ice game,
Yeah.
which was -13. Well, Lily says it was closer to -20 by the end of the game.
Well, yeah, it got colder as the game went on. Yep.
But they didn't have to contend with the ice. The field
Right.
up there in Cincinnati was pretty, but they had Jim Breach talk. They had, if you see, I'll send that to you. It was a it was
Yeah.
a 24-minute video episode. It was good. And
Yeah.
Kenny Anderson talks, and there's a few other guys talking, and I don't think anybody from the Chargers talk. Anthony Munoz talks in it.
Right.
And I remember that. You remember watching that game?
Oh, yeah, it was brutal. That was brutal conditions. And I remember a lot of the guys said that their cars wouldn't start.
Yeah, They talk about it. They talk about it in there.
Yeah, yeah. They went to get in their car to drive to the facility, and a lot of them their cars wouldn't start. I think they had to take a bus or something.
Chris Collinsworth was talking about it.
Uh-huh. He was a rookie. Was he a rookie that year?
He was.
I think he was a rookie. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I remember my buddy Rick Hubbard, who's he loves talking old football. Loves talking old football. He was working at a little gas station that's no longer here, but it was over by my house. And I walked over there earlier that morning, and I said to him, geez, I said, Hub, what are you going to, he said, I got a little TV here. He brought it into work. And when I went over there a little later on, he had the Bengal game on,
Yeah.
And it was cold here, too. I remember that, but yeah, I'll never forget that, Yeah. I'll never forget that. And now they're talking, I don't know if you heard this, Mark. They're talking about playing all these playoff games and stuff, having them always inside now.
No,
I don't know if it's going to happen, but there's actual talk about it.
Terrible. I was disappointed it's probably longer ago than I think now. They had the Super Bowl at Giant Stadium.
Yes.
And it was cold. It was cold all week long. There was snow, and then the day of the game, it was like 50 degrees.
Yes.
I was disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, yes, they had it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a different world, Mark, today. They talk about all this stuff, and I don't know. After a while, I talked to a guy yesterday. I went down to the station for something, and he said, a lot of my friends that we watch football together, a lot of them don't watch anymore, he said to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, believe it or not, Dave, I think it's been about at least 5 years now since I've even watched the Super Bowl.
Well, I can believe it. Listen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch it. I'll always probably watch it, but we don't watch the halftime or anything at my house. I shut that off, and we put on football tapes.
Yeah.
I just queue up a bunch of stuff from YouTube. I queue it up. I have it all ready to go.
Right.
And we watch stuff like that at halftime. I'm not watching this garbage.
When we watched the Super Bowls in the 1970s, they brought out a marching band at halftime. Nobody cared about the halftime. Nobody cared about what was the best commercial. You cared about the game, and that was it.
Yeah,
it was about the game.
Yeah, now it's the reversal.
Next day,
it's the reversal at this point, Mark, because there's more people who don't watch all year. And that's why they have all these halftime and stuff like that.
That's right.
I think Michael Jackson was the first big one, Mark. I think.
What's that? What
I think
year?
Michael,
what year?
The Cowboys and the Bills, first game, the Super Bowl 27.
Wow, that's going back a ways. Yep.
Yep.
That's when it became a big show. Yeah, the day after the Super Bowl, Monday morning, nobody was talking about, did you see the halftime show or did you watch that commercial? You were talking about the game. You were talking about the game, and that was it. It was about the game.
Yeah.
Now, it's not about the game anymore.
No,
it's about everything else.
No, it's the commercials I don't watch either. A lot of people are like, oh, leave the commercials. There's nothing even, you're going to see those commercials anyway. This is just the kickoff for them. Like if it's a successful commercial, you'll see it down the road. I don't need to see it. I don't need to sit around and watch commercials for the Super Bowl.
No.
Some of them are long. The commercials are longer for the Super Bowl. They're strung together, and the breaks for the commercials are longer than a regular season game.
Yeah. Now the pill pushers have taken over the commercials.
There you go.
I don't know about the Super Bowl, but when me and my wife try to watch them, every commercial is pill put. Take a pill for this, take a pill for that.
No,
and the needle. Take a shot, take another vaccine.
Yeah, no, it's brutal, Mark. It's
Yeah.
It's a different world. It's a kind of a disappointment compared to what it was when we were growing up. But,
Yeah.
my buddies come over. It's just a day to get together. And we do the
Yeah.
fantasy football. And so this is the last time we'll get together until
Right.
September, you know?
Yeah. Well, as long as you enjoy it. If you can get some enjoyment out of it, then that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's it, Mark. I think we covered it pretty quick, too.
Wow, we covered everything.
You know?
We covered everything. Yeah. We did good.
I watched
Yeah, we'll send.
I saw one of our, listen, it just popped up last night. I don't know if you've seen it yet. It was one of the first, it might have been the first podcast I ever came on because I was in my living room. And I
Yeah.
only did one or two from my living room.
Right.
And I was on a tear about Chuck Howley. I mean, I was actually livid about it. And
Yeah.
I'm going on about it. And because the video was from the camera that was in my computer, which wasn't a very good camera. So the words don't sync up with
Yeah.
with what we're saying. And I'm going on about, and he picked it up, and you're saying you're trying to get a word in edgewise, and you're saying, yeah, he tripped over his own feet. And I watched it last night. I was laughing. I said, boy, I was on a tear that day. This was before he got into to the Hall of Fame. And I was this is a disgrace that this guy's not in. And sometimes you pull up YouTube and all of a sudden you see the shorts and you see a picture of you or me or both of us. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And you go, what the hell is this? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Arnie puts them on there.
Yeah, and Arnie, he's got to have somebody. He's got to have somebody doing the editing, Mark. Don't you think? Though he can't be doing it all, can he?
I think he does. He does most of it. I don't know if he does it all, but he does a lot of it.
Really?
I don't know how he
Listen,
knows.
That's very time consuming, Mark.
We'd never be able to do this if it wasn't for Arnie.
No, he's got a full-time job. I mean, I've talked to him about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, he does.
Yeah. He's got a full-time job. But listen, to edit video, I know a little about video. I was into video years ago. I had a video camera. I was always into video and taping stuff and editing videotape to make those cuts. He makes those shorts about what you and me talking to make all those cuts and everything. That's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want to do it.
You know what I mean? And that's just one video. He's got all these I see other guys. I don't know if there's are there a lot of other guys besides you and I that have the shorts or no?
Yeah, it's growing. There's a lot more guys joining now. It's growing. Seems like a lot. Every year there's more guys doing it, so that's good.
Yeah, I wonder if I gotta try it one day when we get on. Someday before we get on, if we queued up a clip, if I say I wanted to play something, and you wanted to hear it, I bet you if I hit the audio button coming out of this computer, I bet you my microphone would pick it up, and I'd say so-and-so, and he said this, and if I hit it and it was all queued up, you probably might be able to hear it in our recording, I bet you.
Probably, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I hit we'll have to try it one day. They had a really good interview with Troy Aikman, and they asked him what he thought the quarterback for the Patriots was thinking because he's so young. He's only in his second year. And Aikman said, I was in my fourth year when I got in, and he started going on about how it's very important to have coaches around you that in other words, if the organization if they don't have their shit together, basically, a guy's career could go right down the tubes. They could say, and not necessarily be a bust. They could say, well, he never reached his potential. He said, you can ask Michael Irvin, you can ask Emmitt Smith, and I'm telling you myself, none of us, the three of us, would not be in the Hall of Fame if not for Norv Turner, he said. We wouldn't be there.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the guy.
He was the one that got him on track.
Yep. That's
right. And that was interesting. And I'm like, some of the stuff he comes out with, they're only 30 seconds or whatever, but I bet you if you had it all queued up and ready to go and you just boom, like you went to the tab and just hit on, here's what he said, and you clicked on it, it would come out because it's coming out of the speaker, and it's it's going into the camera, and we're not talking, so you'd be able to hear it, I think.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a try.
That's not a big thing. Like when I click, like today I was looking at some notes, and there's a thing on the camera when you log in. It says, "Do you want to open up a box, like a picture-in-picture?" So I could still see me talking to you when I'm looking at the stats and everything. It's a little box. A little box that opens up on the screen. Like right now, I'm on the YouTube, but I could see you and I could see me in this little square box over here.
Oh, they even they got something on here. I don't know how you do it. Where it is. They got something on here where you could hit an applause button.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah, like if you said something that I really liked, I could hit an applause button. But I don't know.
I've heard that, and I've heard that in things, but that was a nice feature because I was clicking on some other links. Like I looked up Jason Witten's stats as we were talking, and I hit it like right now. I'm on it right now, and I went to the small box, but I could still see you and I could still see me. So it's not like you're blind and just talking blind. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
That's a nice feature to have.
Yeah, there's some good features, but half of them I don't even know how to use. So.
Well, listen. Next time we come on, before we come on, I'll queue up a couple of audio things, and I'll see if we'll see if we can hear them. That's all.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You know,
we gotta do one on Kenny Norton, the fights with Norton and Ali.
We'll do it next week. If you want to do Thursday at 1:00 again to keep it simple, let me know.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And then, like, if you want to listen, that guy I told you about was very, very interesting. There's a guy that got into the Hall of Fame, Mark. I looked him up. Bud, I can't think of his last name. I got everything written down. And this guy's a talker, Mark. This guy's interesting. He single-handedly got this guy into the Professional Baseball Hall of Fame. The guy's in there now. And this guy went to bat for him.
Yeah.
He'd be glad. I got his number and everything. All I'd have to do is call him. We'd set up a date, see when it's good, and then I could let you know. We could do that anytime. But he would be he'd be an interesting guy to have on because he talks about baseball's his big sport, but he talks about football and stuff. But he got this guy put in the guy changed his name to Bud because he was black. And he didn't want to give himself away as a black player. And supposedly played on 62 teams, Mark.
Holy mackerel.
It's a very interesting story, and it's odd that I run into this guy at a all-town gas station. They make good. I go there when I'm at work. They have nice soup. And this guy's sitting next to me, and he starts talking about, I forgot what he even brought up. I think he was talking about something bizarre. I think he talked about my hand. Did you ever play sport? You got big hands. And and I'm thinking to myself, what? But then he started talking about, and he was a Jewish guy. He was like Jewish and German mixed. And he said, I listen to sports, and he started talking about the fan. That's what really kicked it off. He used to listen to WFAN. And then I told him, he claims he kind of remembered me being on with Summers. So, and then he said he knew Summers because he got talking to this thing that he did about getting this guy into the Hall of Fame. And he said the guy that brought it to Summers was a guy that worked before Summers left. This kid was working for him. And then when Summers left, this kid took over the show. He was a younger black kid. I can't think of his name. But that's the guy. That was the link between this guy and Summers, that kid.
Oh, wow.
So it proved to be a very, very interesting conversation, to say the least.
Yeah, we got to get him on. Well, we're retired now, so we got time.
Listen,
You got more time.
I'll call him and I'll try to set up a date in the future, near future, and then we'll go from there. But if you want to do Kenny Norton next week, just let me know.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yep.
I gotta go.
We'll
Yeah, I
do
gotta
it.
go buy. I gotta go out now. I got a bunch. We're retired, but there's still a lot of stuff to do, Mark.
Oh man, sometimes I wonder how did I ever have time to go to work? I got so
No,
much stuff to do.
exactly. Like I gotta go get some heating oil, and I gotta go get. I gotta
Right.
go to the bank. I gotta go get the money. I
Yeah.
gotta go get the heating oil. I gotta go over and get some couple
Yeah.
of supplements I want to get from
I
Zoom.
know.
All kinds of shit to do.
Yeah. And the only thing bad about retirement, the only one thing I could say that I don't like about retirement, I can no longer use the excuse of saying, "Oh, well, I don't have time to do that." things
Exactly.
that you things that you really things that you really don't want to do,
No,
and you
listen.
always have that excuse. Well, I don't know.
One of them is getting together with this guy. He's a really nice guy and everything. He had a big hand in putting on this thing for
Yeah.
me at the end there, but he always wants to get together. And I had now he goes, "You got plenty of time. No more." There it was, Mark.
Yeah.
There it was.
Yeah.
No more
Yeah. You
excuses,
can't
he
use
said.
Yep, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see what
All
happens.
right.
But yeah, let me know, Mark. That's all.
Yep.
All right?
Okay.
You take care. Listen, have a good weekend. God bless you.
You too. God
It
bless.
was it was good coming on. I had a good time.
Yep. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Mark. Take care now.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.